You really want one of my characters to be singing "My Ding-a-ling, My Ding-a-ling"?
I
You
totally
really want
do.
one of my characters? I don't
I
like
bet
camp. That is so camp.
it's, but if you're grossing people out, you need to give them the camp so that they get a break from being grossed out. So that then a couple pages later, you can really gross them out.
Or if you're not.
Go ahead. We lost you, Terry.
If you're not happy with that, you could go ahead and have them sing the Oscar Mayer Wiener song.
No, that would be. I wish I had an Oscar Mayer Wiener now. I wish I was. Totally different perspective on things. Totally different.
Baloney has a first
My
name.
baloney has a first name. It's OSCAR. My baloney has a second name. It's flamethrower.
He had a first name. Not anymore. Now it's been
Nameless.
orphaned.
We have no names, man. No names.
We said we weren't going to go there. We said we weren't going to go there.
Man, maybe that's my Christmas Eve, or that's my
Hey, JR's arrived.
Movie.
You should totally have him in this story as the guy who has his dick fall off, and he's running around. Oh, my dick! Somebody help me! My dick fell off.
I am not gonna ape Sickler. That's just not gonna happen. That is the most horrific scene of that entire fucking book, as he comes running out of the bathroom holding his junk in one hand and his cock in the other. It's just so fucked up. Yeah, it took us not long to
I remember that book. Boy, do I remember that book.
Hello, Antoine.
Fish.
You have wine and you're full of fish. How nice for you. Good evening. Howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society. I am Paul E. Cooley. Joining me, as always, Veronica Chair and Mr. Terry Mixon. How the hell are you two?
Spending money like it's out of style! Actually, getting ready to spend money like it's out of style.
I was going to say, you haven't yet, written any checks.
No checks have been written.
But plans are being made.
Quotes are being gotten.
Fun.
Got to know how much I have to withdraw from the retirement savings.
I
am not repeating what just showed up in chat.
No. There's some things just need net, or we could
just not.
I'd like to point out I was not part of that problem.
You've never made anybody's genitalia fall off? This is a good thing.
Not that I know of. I mean,
not intentionally.
But the things I've narrated for Paul Cooley.
Yeah. Oh, it clenched too hard. Things happen. That's all I could say. Veronica, how are you? Let's get past this and move on.
Moving right along.
I run on coffee's Christmas cheer. Okay.
Ho, ho.
Yeah. It's the end of the year. So I've delivered the last book for the year, the last set of pickups. I've got pickups that'll come at the top of the year, but now it's all admin stuff and writing. I usually bring my current romance that I'm writing with me to the bowling alley to sit and work. Because on league nights, my spouse and my daughter, they bowl together on a team. I don't bowl. So I just sit and have my drink and write. And I asked my daughter, I'm like, do you want to check this over for me? Because nothing's gotten spicy yet. I don't know how spicy it's actually going to get. I'm like, can you just, tell me if these 4 pages are okay? One girl picks up a pen and starts correcting my grammar and spelling because I haven't gotten to that point yet. So is she mine? Absolutely. And what's her excuse? I can't read this. It's distracting when it's like that. My kid. And then she gets to the end and she goes, that little secret smile of, yeah, this is good. Keep going. So not like I should look for the approval of a 16-year-old for my writing, but if she likes it and goes, It's pretty good. You should keep going on that. And I showed her my outline. She's like, yep, that hits all the right beats, because she reads a lot of romance and it's very formulaic. So
Right.
it's nice to know that I'm going in the right direction there. Still working on the Patreon stuff, but I found a bunch of good short stories to look at. So that looks feasible for now.
Cool.
Other than that, it's just been a lot of planning for next year. Like paralyzing levels of planning. Because I'm booking out until like April and May. Fun.
Yeah, you're going to be very busy.
I am, because I've had now 3 authors who I met this year at Author Nation contacted me. And then a 4th who I worked through a publisher for, she contacted me and said, oh yeah, you did stuff for me through this publisher, but I'm interested in getting something else out and I want to work with you directly. So I have to respond to her. But I'm like, yeah, I want to go, yes, I want to do this. And I'm going to go, but I can't do anything until May. And hope that they're willing to wait. So,
yeah.
That's the problem with being popular. You can only do so much.
You're going to be popular. And Matt, is there a tougher audience than teenage girls? That sort of approval can't be bought, at least not without sparkly vampires. There probably is not a tougher audience. This one does not go for sparkly vampires. This is the one who just like straight up, this is the one who screams at hockey matches. Like,
yes, we hear her.
Yes,
yeah.
We know. Luckily,
we're waiting for the profanities to arrive.
She's getting there. I mean, I know that the vocabulary is there and can be used, but it hasn't. I think I've only heard it like dropped once or twice in front of me.
Those days will change.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I know. I already told my kids, like, I'm not censoring anymore, and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Theater kid, worked in a shipyard. I have an extensive vocabulary." So yeah.
And your father's a software developer. We run 90% on caffeine and cursing.
There's that much. That's
that you know of.
Well, anyway.
He's polite. He just curses in his head.
Yeah, maybe.
So Terry, how are you?
Oh, God.
That good, huh?
Oh, that's all right. We today we went out and looked at chair lifts for my wife, since she's talking about getting that installed to get her mobility up and down the stairs going. I'm sure that won't cost very much at all.
Oh, I'm sure it's like $5.
I'm sure it's just going to be
cheap.
very inexpensive.
You know what you could do instead? You could just install a slingshot at either end and just, it's got to be cheaper.
I was thinking like
medical
tubing. Just like pulleys, just a whole pulley system, get a little motor.
Did you ever have one of those, little bounce it things that you would throw the baseball into and it would bounce back at you when you were growing up?
No. You got to do the Mission Impossible style. I got to see this shit now. I got to see you clip her into a harness, like push her up the stairs.
I totally want to see, somebody doing the Mission Impossible thing where it goes, but it doesn't stop. Woo, 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 woo.
Somehow,
this is why none of us are the medical engineering.
Life is going to be the guinea pig for that.
Probably not. So, this is going to be a very interesting remodel when it's done, because timing is going to be key. Timing is going to be key. We're doing the upstairs remodel first, so they're going to tear out the bathroom right next to my office. I am confident that that is absolutely not going to interfere with my work at all.
Ooh. Yeah. I'm sure it won't be a problem at all.
Yeah, and my narration is going to be filled with, curse words that I have to edit out when I get to that part of the book. So that's going to take 2 to 3 weeks. In
Okay.
between that and them doing the downstairs, we've got to get the chairlift installed on the stairs, because once they tear up the downstairs bathroom, the wife can no longer go to the bathroom in the house in the middle of the night. So that's a problem. But
That
we
would
don't
be
want
a
to put it
problem.
up at a point where it's going to interfere with the work going on upstairs. The install takes about 3 hours, and when we figure out which day that's going to be that they're going to be done, I can give them 2 days notice, and they'll be out on that day to go ahead and make it happen during the day when they start the downstairs. So I'm sure that won't, interfere with anybody doing any work downstairs, but there you are.
No.
No. So once
can get
that's
problems.
done, then 2 to 3 weeks for the downstairs bathroom, and then they rip out the kitchen. So no eating in the house. That'll be exciting.
Wow. Yeah, your life's going to suck for 2 months.
I think it's actually going to suck. I'm adding padding in this. They say 2 to 3 weeks. I'm counting on a month for each, just on general principles. So 3 months for the entire project if things go poorly, as far as time working. So yeah, very exciting.
He thinks you have a dumbwaiter.
I need a dumbwaiter. I totally need a dumbwaiter. I'll have to talk to them. Let me make a note of this here. Add dumbwaiter.
I just think that's just a manual cat elevator. You'd open
That's exactly
it. And,
it.
3 sitting in there.
You got all those goddamn cats, man. Turn them into herd animals. Just, put them with harnesses on them. Throw some catnip and a mouse in front, and they can just, pull her up.
So when the remodeling is taking place, the cats are going to be restricted to the 3 rooms upstairs. The ones that are normally upstairs are going to be in my office. The other 2 rooms upstairs are going to have the other cats split between them. And they are going to stay in these 3 rooms for the entire 2 to 3 months that this renovation is taking place. Very exciting. And then, once it's done, the doors open, and the upstairs and the downstairs cats will mix, and there will be utter and complete chaos. Because none of these cats will have seen each other in months.
Wow.
What could possibly go wrong?
Wow. Yeah, you're going to have fun. I look forward to the 8 or 9 or 10 episodes we get where, Terry, do you have anything to say?
There's this big scratch across my forehead going right all the way from end to end. Oh no, nothing happened today.
Next week.
Are you sure there's not something wrong with your face? What is that? Oh no, that's fine. Doctor said it didn't even need 3 stitches. It's okay.
Oh, I love it. Oh, it's going to be bad. Well, my thoughts are with you, Terry. That hopefully by March we can suddenly just skip to March and you'll be done.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, but I'll at least be glad that it's done, because the bathrooms and the kitchen are the major things in a house that have to be renovated. The rest of it's just rooms. So we'll be in good shape, as far as home values going forward.
Well, hopefully you just get it going and get it done.
Get her done.
Get it done. Well, while you've been busy, I have been busy.
Ooh.
Busy.
The new book is, wouldn't you like to know? The new book is 37K, over 37K. So I still think I can finish it easily before the end of the year. I hit a snag, but I'm working through the snag.
Wait a minute.
Veronica, help me a little bit.
Does that mean you unsuccessfully tried to kill someone?
No. Killing folk is easy. I should
You'd be
not
like
say
Steven
that.
Seagal.
That would be taken out of
I can't believe it.
No.
I missed. That never happens.
That's Patrick had a failure. It's like finding out Father Christmas isn't the real. Sorry, coupling. As I say. So confident I can get that done. Snag in the crotch grabber book. Yeah. And that's pretty much all I really had to report, besides the fact that I have new hearing aids. Life is wonderful. It's going to take me probably another week to get used to my right ear not being deaf, but it's a good thing. So no excuses going forward that I can't hear you. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe, perhaps.
I'm sure your wife's going to say, are you listening now? You can't pretend you can't hear me anymore. So now I'm going to tell you things.
Well, that's actually not true because I stream a lot to my to my hearing aids, and I haven't figured out how to turn them back on while they're streaming. They automatically shut off all external input, so you just hear whatever you've got in your ears. So you go extremely deaf. So I haven't figured out how to do the automatic. Hey, at least turn these up to like 30%. 20-30% power while I'm listening to something, so I'm not completely deaf. So I do still have an excuse, technically. Or I'm sorry, I can't hear you. They're in the charger while wearing them.
I guess I should have also said I did get that short story written, so I now have the short story, the new characters. I'm like, these new people, they're interesting. I wonder what's making them tick.
Told you. You procrastinated for no reason.
Well, it's not that I procrastinated for no reason. It's just have other things on the plate. I still have to finish the Empire book to get it done.
Yeah. Well, you will. You will.
But at least I have a personality for the main character now. I didn't have one of those before. Now I have one.
That is extremely helpful.
Yeah.
And I've decided.
It's extremely helpful.
His name is Drake. I am never once going to mention what his full name is, ever, in the series. He's just Drake.
I've been doing that too. I've been dropping last names. I'm not using any last names in this series that I'm of She Stories I'm writing, and I don't know why. There's only one last name I use, and it's the multi-billionaire who owns the island. It's only his last name. I don't even give a first name for him.
I'm going to play into this as things get along. When he arrives in the new space area, they're going to ask him, they're going to make him an identification for there. And so they're going to ask him what his name is, and he's going to say just Drake, and that's what they're going to put on the ID, just Drake. So he's going to have an ID that says his first name is just Drake. I make myself laugh so hard.
Uh-huh. Last names are for characters we want to be sad for when they die. That's not true.
Or just names in general.
Mostly, yeah, the names. Yeah, if they have a name, that might be important. Do I even bother talking about JR's comment? Do I even bother?
Don't engage with JR. That way lies madness. You know that old saying that if you wrestle with a pig, you just get dirty and the pig likes it? That is JR. Tough crowd.
Wow. It seems like.
Go ahead.
It's just like, it seems like Terry constantly needling JR is an ongoing thread in many episodes of the show.
It is. It's intentional.
Kind of like Jake Bible and I.
He's former military like I am, and if I was nice to him, he'd think I didn't like him anymore.
They have psychological terms for that kind of relationship, and it's categorized as not being healthy.
Let me assure you that being in the military is not being healthy mentally. That is the way it works.
Okay, you said it, not me. He's going to start checking his coffee for poison. If you're ever nice to him, he's going to think that you're trying to poison him. Well, since you're finishing a series, have been finishing a series,
I finished
starting
a series.
new
It's
one.
Done.
I was talking about Empire.
Oh, that's true. Story's written. I just have to finish editing it. Story's done.
Yeah, I know. So you finished the series, you're almost finished with another series, and you're starting a new one. So, V, what did you say in Discord? What did you say?
She said all kinds of things in Discord.
I
Some of
say
them
all
aren't even fit
kinds
to
of
print.
stuff. I mean, to the point. I mean, well, they're fit to print. They show up in print there, but they may not be fit to voice.
Oh, here we go. Oh, actually, it came from a Topics channel. It wasn't you. It was Topics
No, I
channel.
was about to say
Xander
that
again.
was. You can't blame me.
Well, we could blame you, but
Xander
Yeah, but it
asks,
would be
when you have a
accurate.
long-running series that is several books long, how do you make each installment feel like a completed story more than just a fragment of a larger one?
you get struck in the head, forget everything you ever knew, and write a new book.
And then on top of that, there's also sagas, which go along in that same vein, and then standalones. And the thing is, you could mix and match all of this bullshit.
But you've also got, well, you've shared universes.
Sure.
So you can have interconnected stories that may not necessarily be sequels to each other, but they're intended to be read in
The same universe.
They don't follow the same characters, but there is a progression of the overall story.
So basically what it comes down to is a lot of crazy shit. Terry writes episodic series, meaning that basically each book, for the most part, have you ever had a point where one book didn't finish at a stopping point for the next one to start?
I did, and it was a mistake. It was a mistake. I would not repeat that.
Okay, so you've done that too. It's really funny when I say episodic series. I can't tell if you're chuffed or defensive.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
No, I think episodic series is fine.
Yeah.
You're not going to find me slamming episodic series. I like it.
That wasn't what I was saying. That wasn't what I was saying.
All right, then what are you saying?
Not
Be
at all.
clear, man. Be clear.
Defensive. You expected me to go on the offensive against episodic series.
I don't have any opinion about what you're going to do about it.
Why are you trying to pick a fight? What the crap?
Because the people come here for drama.
Wait a minute. You need some drama in this? How dare you say that? How dare you?
Oh, no, they're fighting.
My attorney will be in contact with you. My people will talk to your people.
My cat's bigger than your attorney.
No, he's not.
Well, that's because Vern Troyer is my attorney, so it's true.
Okay.
Anyway.
Now, why would you say that stopping in the middle was a problem?
Because it left the readers feeling unsatisfied. And if you're going to do episodic, you have to at least have some major point that gets wrapped up. And when I left them cliffhangered at the end of a novel, it annoyed it annoyed the readers, and it was a mistake of me to do so. Lesson learned.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I have written series. I've written sagas. I'm closing out one series. I've written a saga. I'm beginning a whole bunch of standalones we'll cover in a second. But with the saga, the Derelict Saga specifically, the books had logical stopping points to stop the action to start the next act. But it didn't actually necessarily wrap anything up, like in Tomb, for instance. Because the way I probably should have done it, had I been a better writer and been doing this longer at that point, is I would have written the first 3 books and put them out as one novel, is what I should have done. That's not what I did. So I followed the saga model because I knew if I didn't do that, I would never get it done. So that's why I went with and I needed the money for, I needed the advances, guys. I won't lie.
So basically, that's why you became a stripper.
Isn't it why we all become strippers? So that was the way that series was done. And I think now that all 4 books are out there, especially like I see this on YouTube all the time, stopping the middle leaves people unsatisfied. Okay, got it. Yes, James.
That's also true for publishing besides, bedroom antics.
What I see on YouTube with the Derelict Saga, which I put out an episode every day during the COVID lockdown, and it's 147 episodes, I think. And then once we hit Trident, I doled them out weekly until we got done with that. What I see now is people starting at the very beginning and going all the way through, and I can track the numbers to prove it, that they're not stopping halfway, which is pretty fucking cool. But it means that series, that saga, would be better served to be in a single book. But then it would be fucking huge. It would be 347,000 words as one book.
So
it's
basically, big. 2/3 of a Brandon Sanderson novel.
I knew you were going to bring that up. Yeah, 2/3 of a Brandon Sanderson. You go ahead and try and print that puppy.
Thunk when you drop it on the table.
Right. So I wouldn't suggest people do what I did and the way that I did it. It was a little bit mercenary, but like I said, the book, the story would never have been done otherwise, and I would have been in financial straits had it done that way. But I know it hurt the series. It hurt the book. It hurt the story as a whole, which is fine. Live and learn. It was my art project anyway, and it's done now. Except for now, I'm writing more of it. But it won't be done.
I
It'll be
was
episodic.
Needed the money. I did.
James, I don't know how long the Sam was. It's like 500,000 words, maybe. It's probably about the size of a Sanderson. It's a big book. If you talk about the unedited version, which is an extra 350,000 words of bullshit. Don't have fond memories of that book. Oh. Anyway.
Somebody's TV going berserk?
Not mine.
I don't think so.
Here's somebody's stuff. Bad people. Anyway, so there are better ways to do that. I'm living proof that there are better ways to do that. But like I said, it is what it is. The book would never I can guarantee you the books would never have gotten done if that were the case. 472,000 words. Okay.
So you see, you can just go ahead and put it out as one book. You're fine. You're fine.
You have to talk to Sever Press about that. But
that's what she said, James. That's what she said.
So
he said it at the same time I did.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Now, V, you brought up shared universe. This also goes for when you have a universe you've established.
Yes.
I have a bunch of standalones in the Suit series, but they all take place in the same universe, maybe in different times, definitely different places, and none of them have repeat characters. The only thing that ties them together is a certain astronomical anomaly. But that's in the same verse. Those stories can relate to one another. Events that are necessarily brought up in one story could be the background, or related to in some way, or referenced by the characters in another book.
Right. But in each one of those books, but in each one of those books, there is a complete storyline within each one of those books. And that's the same thing with Terry's. There is a complete storyline in each one of those Empire books. However, there are bigger arcs that span multiple books, and you inch toward the resolution of those arcs every handful of books. And then maybe in the process of one arc getting resolved, another kicks up, and so they kind of they overlap each other.
Yeah.
So there's always something bigger going on.
The way I tend to write books in a series going from one to the next is after the first novel, the first third of the next novel is a mixture of dealing with the consequences of everything that happened in the previous novel and also introducing new elements that are leading into things going on in the current novel. So it's got that mixture going on in the beginning, so it feels like it's not a single book. It feels like a direct continuation of what came before.
And the shared verse allows you to do some things where you have standalones with different characters that are not necessarily even related at all on a plot series. They're completely separate. They just happen to take place in the same verse. Mm-hmm. Sigler's done that. Stephen King's done that. I'm sure there are a ton of authors who've created verses that like that. A ton of them. So, and I think we're all doing that as well to a certain degree. Terry hasn't created a big verse yet because all his verses, at least to my mind, are completely separate, aren't they?
Not true. The Imperial Marine stuff that I wrote is set in the same universe, just with a 500-year time difference.
Right. Okay,
but
my mistake.
Some of the characters overlap.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's another thing, yeah. But they're also referenced, right?
They are referenced in one series, and spoiler, the referenced character shows up in the next Empire book.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Veronica's itching. She's itching.
I am indeed a carnival ride.
That's not what that said.
Oh, that says carnal ride. You know, that's a totally different ride.
There's a height restriction there, my friend.
Ooh.
Wow.
The things Terry will do for tender vittles. Anyway,
what would you do for a Klondike bar?
When would you write a standalone, Terry?
The first of never. I'm a series guy. I'm a series guy. If I want to write a character, I want to keep writing that character. I want to see things keep happening. And this is me being totally serious. I am just not set up to where I want to write a single book and be done. That is not satisfying for me as a writer. I want to write more.
Interesting.
Same. I always, if I have an idea for a book and a storyline, at minimum, it should go to a trilogy. I'm always trying to figure out how to pull the story and the characters out further, or how to take the big overarching plot and then figure out logical subplots to put there. And I think, I have stuff that I'm writing now collaboratively. They are standalones, but one is in a shared universe, so it does reference previous books. But the stuff that I like writing for myself, there's always something more there. Even with like the one that I have with the shared universe, the second book in the planning, there are shared events where I know that the midpoint event of the first book is actually the 10-15%. It's the meet cute for the second book, for another set of characters. So, and that's common in romance with the shared universes, where you've got an event for one character, for one set of characters, represents a certain point in their relationship or the development of their relationship, and those same events correspond to another point. Sure. Wow. Same event means different things to two different sets of people.
There we go. Yes, and I've been using that too. It's kind of fun, especially if you're doing it in the same book.
Ooh. Yeah, but this
one character thinks a character smells one way, the other character thinks the other character smells similar, even though they're not at all identical. One thinks the other one looks unhealthy, the other one thinks the other one looks unhealthy, yet they all think that they're healthy. Yeah, shit like that.
And then their genitals fall off.
Nah, why are you spoiling this for me? Why are you spoiling? I just spent a lot of time studying female and male anatomy to make sure
that's
I have
what they
all
all
the proper
say.
names, for the Latin thing when I start describing,
I'm perfectly confident that your wife will thank you for the research you've done so that you now know where everything is.
I knew where everything was.
Got her. Woo!
I wasn't aware of where the nerves were, veins, arteries, etc., all the way through the uterine wall and all the little gizmos and gotchas and everything else that are all part of the reproductive
gizmos
system.
and gotchas.
And gotchas. Wow. Wow.
I have a chart I look at, and it says
You
gizmos and
have a
gotchas.
chart you look at. I think you should put it up in the bedroom, just for those critical moments where you need to know where the gizmos and gotchas are.
These are
As
these are the
old as I
guy
am, if
gizmos
I
and
don't know,
gotchas.
if I don't know
Wow.
the female body by now, it's really bad. But anyway, pop quiz,
I
where's her?
I mean, are we talking like a full up, like OBGYN chart, and you've got a laser pointer, and you're just making sure, and you're
I could see this up on the wall, but it's not him up there pointing it. It's the wife. She's got one of those little things. This right here, right here.
No, it's a huge poster, but it's like light bright, so you've got to dig in on different spots and identify.
Oh no! Go ahead and make it like one of those, operation games. Where if you hit it wrong, it buzzes at you.
I don't know. Depending upon what you hit, if it buzzes, that could be a good thing.
Woo-hoo.
It has buttons.
Yes, it actually does have a button.
There are colloquial terms there. That is.
Oh, there are plenty of terms there. Anyway.
Yes, but button is one that gets used a lot.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I was just not aware of where the circulatory system and how it fit in with everything. So looking at the diagrams that had all of the veins, all of the nerves, we weren't talking about looking at the lady parts, we're looking at the interior of the body. I had never actually thought about how all that's interconnected and how something might travel.
Okay.
I just had never
Very
thought of
exciting.
That. Very exciting stuff. Very exciting stuff.
How the growth of, well, I guess the expansion of certain things causes other organs to move and get shoved and compressed.
Or
it's a horrible thing to say, Rowdy. Horrible thing. How dare you? Terrible.
Or they trick the lymphatic system into figuring out that the uterus is an alien, or that is a unhealthy bacteria that is in the system, and it attacks it. White blood cells basically jettison everything. I've thought about this way too much.
You need to get out more. Let your wife read the story, and she could go just stare at you. You're sick.
I have talked to her about this, and she's just kind of looked at me. Oh, that makes sense. She's the one that found the Saculina.
Yeah, but you haven't run the whole uterus falling out into the toilet with her. Otherwise, there would be a reaction. I'm confident.
There was a reaction, which was you.
Yeah.
That was the reaction. You.
No, I've not. I'll have to wait for the after show, but because I have questions. I'm now like rethinking all of this.
She has questions.
I have a lot of questions. Yeah.
She's allowed to have questions. It's funny. I like standalones. I like series. I like standalones because there are certain kind of stories you can only write as standalones.
True.
Because you cannot. There are certain types of scenarios where the character doesn't get to come back. There are certain scenarios where the character is so beat up that there is no second story that could possibly be told. Or it ended in such a way that that character does not survive in a way to come back. So there are certain tropes that kind of prevent you from having sequels or a series with that character. You love them as long as you can, and then you fucking do what you got to do. And you walk away. And that's really tough because I really wanted to write another book with a character from an ancient trap. I really wanted to write another book, but I decided that I liked it better where I left him because he had agency. And anything else was going to take that agency away, and I didn't want to have that. I liked it better where it ended, and so I'm okay with it. I'm totally okay with it. Can't even think anymore. Signal Decay will be the same way, and Station 3 was the same way. There's just certain stories that I want to tell where there may not be a happy ending, period, end of story. You don't, the happy part is they won. Or maybe they lost. Maybe there is no winning. Maybe there's just varying shades of losing. But that's just the way it is. And those are the kind of stories I like to write, in addition to the stories where the people get to come back. I like to write it all. But if you're writing suspense, horror, thriller, not everybody gets to survive. It's just the way it is. And sometimes that would adversely affect the idea of a sequel or a series. It just depends on the story you're writing. But I can understand what you're saying, Terry, because I have snuffed out some characters. I'm like, God damn it, I really like that character too.
I just have this view of you writing a trilogy and you publishing the books and them coming out, and you realize as you're writing the third book in the trilogy that you somehow lost a character in the first book that just never had any resolution. They're like, and you just go back to them and they're like still sitting in the mine. I hope they're coming back for me.
Then you spend 30,000 words telling his story of how he got back on the ship.
You jerks left me, assholes.
We left you for a reason. Why are you here? Plot hole, fixing a plot hole. Oh, okay. Well, we can kill you in the next scene then, right?
It's Jim. He's back. Oh, no. Jim is dead.
James says he's tired of books series where they force the sequels.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem. I think that's mainly the problem, the main turnoff of a series. It's like once they get past, book 2 or maybe book 3 doesn't even need to get made because book 2 just kind of wrap things up. Book 3 is a whole new story, but why are we here? And it just doesn't feel right, and people don't buy it because of that very reason.
And then it's not a sequel. Then you wind up having, in that case, maybe you have a duology and then a third book that's in the shared universe that may or may not include the same characters.
The third one's a standalone.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of cases where you have, movies that are touted to have sequels, and they're not sequels. It's just another movie with the same characters that time-wise happens after the first one.
Right.
So, so James Bond movies. James Bond movies do count as sequels because, now I'm talking about the Daniel Craig ones, the most recent handful of them, because those qualify as being sequels because there is an overarching arc that covers a handful of those movies. And they
reference one another.
And they reference one another. And the characters reference, and there's certain things that are dependent upon the decisions made in previous movies. But each movie has its own plot. Something gets resolved, but in the resolution of that plot, there's something open that has to be addressed. So Terry, like you were saying, the first, third of the second installment is dealing with the consequences of the decisions in the first book or the first movie.
That's how you tie them all together.
Yeah. Whereas, say, Mission Impossible, with the franchise with Tom Cruise, it sort of happens, but it's a lot looser.
It does happen, and I can think of a great explanation of one that doesn't have that. If you look at the Clive Cussler novels with Dirk Pitt, they could be read in literally any order because nothing that really happens, with very few exceptions, has anything that references any of the previous books, so it doesn't matter.
They're static. It's a static universe.
In those cases, does the protagonist change?
No. Clive Cussler is famous that Dirk Pitt does not change.
And so I think that's another good qualifier. If your protagonist stays the same throughout,
you better be episodic.
That's not even episodic.
Yeah, that's not episodic because that's just that's almost shared.
It's a form of stasis.
Yeah,
I'm sure that there's a word for it. I don't know what it is.
It's different stories. It's installments or short stories set in the same universe. Maybe it's episodic, but it's nonlinear. Whereas with Empire of Bones, yes, it's episodic. You could chunk everything up to seasons if you're thinking Netflix comes and says, "Hey, Terry, here's money. Let's go make, a series, please." But, all the kitchens, all the bathroom remodels.
A good episodic show that also was relatively static in only some things were referenced going back later is the X-Files. There were some things that they referenced things back that happened previously, but mostly it was the Monster of the Week.
I liked it better when it was the Monster of the Week, to be honest, before they started into the arcs. Because Chris Carter was so fucked up trying to do X-Files and Millennium at the same time, he wasn't giving enough attention to what the writers were doing with the arc, and they fucked it up big time, in my humble estimation. So it was like 2 years flushed down the toilet.
And then the movies that they did wound up messing with the plots and the characters and the arcs.
Timelines and consistency kind of went out the window, which is unfortunate because those are great characters. They really are great characters.
Yes, they're fantastic characters.
And they do change. They do show growth and abnormal growth in some instances.
I see. That sounds like another that sounds like another After Dark, topic right there. Abnormal growth.
I would say Mulder gets a lot more paranoid over the seasons until the end when he's just a complete gibbering wreck. So there's that's why I would say there's unhealthy growth and then there's growth, right?
So basically what you're saying is that Mulder gets crazier and crazier as it goes along, and then when he appears in the next series as, this wrecked guy that's all whacked out doing drugs and whatever, that's actually the same character. That's Mulder, just, has transitioned. I don't even remember what the name of the other show was, that he was the head honcho. I think he was a doctor. I'm not sure.
I know it. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about, and I cannot remember the name of it.
But yeah,
the only
he's messed up in that show. He's real.
The only bit that's coming to my head is like the David Duchovny cameo was in Zoolander as the hand model, and that's totally not Fox Mulder. So,
no, it's not. Thankfully, God, now you completely ruined that character for me. Fuck! Stop that!
You're welcome.
God damn it!
You're welcome.
Xander says, but the worst are the bridge novels, the books that are all set up for the next story to get the pieces in place.
Welcome to the Two Towers.
Psych was similar outside the like big finales. Very few times did anything get mentioned in the episodes prior, unless it's to make a joke.
I totally think that Psych should be made into a horror book by Paul.
I've never watched that show once.
It's funny. It really is funny.
So I've been told. I still haven't seen it. V, do you like standalones? Not necessarily writing them, but do you like reading them?
I do like reading them. I like them when they're written well and the ending fits the character. I think there are some cases. I can think of a handful that I've read and enjoyed, but I personally prefer series because I like characters. I want to know what happens next, and I'm always mad when a series ends or it doesn't get the next bit, because unless you're really good at wrapping things up with a character and giving them a definite stopping point, which isn't art, I want to keep reading. I think the book that I finished, Babel, was a standalone. And it was a case of where the ending wrapped it up perfectly. The main character's ending fit. It was the proper consequence for all the actions throughout the book. Same thing with some of the secondary characters that came through. Another good example of a standalone. Well, it's not a standalone because it's in a shared verse. So it's very rare. I'll listen to a handful of them, but if I'm reading them, I almost always want a series.
You can have standalones that are in the same universe. Look at Piers Anthony and the ones that he did with Death and all the other things. They were all related, but they were all standalone novels.
Yeah, but they also all had an arc because you find out what happens. Each of the books contributes to something at the end, and to the books going forward. Because without Death, there's no Mars. Without Mars, there isn't Bearing an Hourglass because war is involved in that other thing, and then you've got all the way up to Satan. You've got pretty much everything that goes on the gamut. That is an interesting series in and of itself. I never got past the third or fourth book. I don't remember which, but it was a really interesting series. Death on a Pale Horse, I think it's the first one.
I believe so, yes.
Something like that. One of the reasons I love Ellie Mossad Jr. is he does both well in standalone series. Xander says I find standalones to be more often hit or miss for me because most of them are like standalones. Then like 2 years later, a sequel releases, and I'm just like, but why though?
And that's why a lot of indies they'll write the first book, but they'll hold on releasing it until they're halfway through they're halfway through writing the second book, or even halfway through the third book, because they know that if people like the first one, they want the second book immediately, and they want to be able to satisfy that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea too. And that's the other thing is the rush to publication, which can really hurt you, but can also save your butt. Financially speaking, anyway.
Yeah, but I think for indies, it's easier because there's so many ways you can get your story out. So like we've talked about Patreon, we've talked about audio. It's possible to stagger the release. So maybe you've got that first one that you're writing and you put it out. I mean, you finish it and then you're putting out episodically in some way, shape, or form, but you don't necessarily release the whole thing to a wide distribution until you finish the second one. And so you can piggyback off the success of the first.
If I had been in a position to have all it's really five books of Derelict done, then I would that would have been the perfect series to release one every 3 months. You got 3 months to read this one, and then the next one hits, and the next one hits, and the next one hits, and nobody complains. Well, somebody will complain. This costs too much money. Why not have to pay for each separate book? Anyway. What you got to say to us, chat? What you got for us? I like standalones because you can tell bottle stories. They're much easier to do than standalones. And you can fuck shit up really bad and put the characters through absolute mortal hell because there may not be...
It doesn't matter. They're all going to die anyway.
Potentially.
Potentially. There's always that possibility.
It's always a possibility.
Pull a Sigler. Kill them all.
He doesn't kill them all.
Oh, he did.
No. He did it.
He rewrote it. He rewrote it, but he did in fact in Earthcore kill them all.
In the original Earthcore, he absolutely cleared the slate. He cleared the board. There was nobody left.
When you've got to bring in a new character to wrap up the novel, you have cleaned the clock.
You've cleaned house. I'm glad he fixed that in the rewrite. I'm glad he fixed that. It made more sense, especially since the second book is good. The second book's really good.
I still have to experience that one. I haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, Mount Fitzroy is really interesting.
Grab the audio and listen to Ray Porter because
I've got it in audio. I just haven't gotten to it.
Yeah, he's good or something. He's good.
That Ray Porter guy, he's okay.
Hang on. Is it? Yes, it is Ray Porter. Okay. But yeah,
I think Ray does all of Scott's stuff now.
I think so. And if you haven't followed him on social media, he's just a really cool guy. Has a really cool classic cars too. Yeah.
And he's the reason why I do what I do. Because without him, I would not have gotten back into writing.
Ray Porter? I'm sure he would be thrilled.
No, Scott. Scott. I was talking about Scott. Sickler was a reason I got into this.
And now he's like, Cooley. Paul Cooley? Who's that?
Nah. If you trust me, read the crypt. He has not been forgotten. No, not at all.
Not in any way, shape, fashion, or form.
Nope.
We got dogs, cats, and all sorts of other nonsense. Okay. Yeah, you have Scott to blame for this mess. That is exactly right. Where was that? James.
Well, Stanley,
Terrell.
this is another fine mess you've gotten us into.
Yes, James, if you are on our Discord, there is a topics channel where you can put in a topic idea. We don't guarantee that we'll get to it, but
since we can never come up with topics on our own, we'll almost be guaranteed.
Speak for yourself. I've come up with plenty of topics, mind you.
That's why we brought you on the show. We were tired of
I know. It's like, hey, she all has some good ideas.
She hasn't been doing this for 10 fucking years. Maybe she's got some fresh ideas. No.
Nope. I'll just bring my own problems and we'll crowdsource them and then look at, hey, have you done this? Shit, no. This is all like problem solving and accountability. That's really all it is.
Okay, well I can accept that, I think. I can accept that. Maybe, perhaps. Not like you need my approval, but you're gonna get it anyway, grudgingly.
Okay.
One says, I hate to say it, but Sanderson does standalones well. I have never read a Brandon Sanderson standalone. Yeah, it's a skill. It is definitely a skill. You just got to have a closed storyline. Just however it ends, and not plan on bringing anybody back. And that'll allows you a lot more freedom to do some things. Because if you have to keep the character alive or, all their limbs intact and not inflict grievous injuries on them psychologically or physically, that changes what you can do in a story with that character. If that character has to survive and somehow be able to do stuff within 2 months of this story ending, then there are certain things you cannot do. If the next story in the series takes place 2 hours after this, there are certain things you cannot do.
Yeah.
You just can't. So you have to be a little more kid glove with some of those folks.
Or you just have to consider if you're not writing the sorts of things where you could have a body count by the end of the book, then are you writing the kinds of characters that have changed enough by the end of the book that don't need to go through another, arc of realization for the second book? So if you can get them to have that full evolution, and then they've met that personal goal by the end of the book. If there's nothing more to that, that's okay. But if you can give them another problem, cool.
Yeah, that's the trick. How do they solve the first problem? How much damage do they cause in the process of solving it? End of book not found. Nice. I like it. I like it. Well, if you have a question or comment about this episode, you can find our website at deadrobotssociety.com and punch that contact button and send us an email and tell us what you're thinking. You can find us at Facebook at the... I almost did it wrong. Dead Robot Society writing community where we mingle all the madness. And you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/DRS podcast, where we are live every Saturday, mostly at 3 p.m. CST. Like and subscribe so you know when we're live. And if you want to support the show and help us pay our StreamYard bills, which seem to be growing every year, you can find us at patreon.com/DRS podcast and buymeacoffee.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive live shows like the one that's coming on in about 10 minutes. And at the $10 level, you get your patrons read. At $10 level, you get your names read.
And hopefully it's in Braille.
And our $10 patrons are, fuck off, Terry, Juan Valentin, James Terrell,
Is that one of our patrons? Fuck off, Terry. Wow. Okay.
Low Rate Nate, Antoine Batts, Tony L. Joy, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Isabel Cushy, and Tim Niederreiter. Thank you to all of our patrons for making this show possible. And with that, we are out of here. So we won't see y'all again till after Xmas. So happy
We'll be back
holidays
next
for
weekend.
those of you that celebrate. And we'll be back next weekend to torment you some more. And I'll be 1 year older.
Oh,
No. Terry is a $20 patron. You know what? I'm going to go create that level right now. Thanks for hanging out with us, folks. Have a good one.